Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independence Street Tarot and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here to talk about this last week of June into this first week of July. Um, I also want to say that I'm going to be referencing astrological events that have already previously happened. So if you want to get a little brush up on those, to watch the previous videos, um, especially since full moon Capricorn and maybe a couple weeks before that. So, and then I am going to say I'm going to do a political video after this one. I don't think I'm going to connect them. If I do, I will give you plenty of warning so you can stop the video, or I'm just going to say I end it there and then I'll make a new video. So let's get into it. It is June 29th. And as of now, Saturn has stationed retrograde. And Saturn is still in Pisces. Saturn is known as the old man. Saturn is the taskmaster. I always see Saturn as stability. Also, I'd want to say this is how I read the planets. I think that we are in this age of Aquarius. I think I'm just gonna, you can go back and see why. I think we are in this age of Aquarius. And because we are in this age of Aquarius, that means we are bringing in new energy on the planet. And so we have to start reading the planets differently, right? Now and moving forward. So I think the planets are becoming more mature, mainly because we're in a new age, and also all this divine feminine energy is on the planet, and so that is changing the way I believe that we need to read the planets, see the planets, feel the planets. Also, we are moving back towards the galactic center, and just historically looking over time, when we as Earth have been closer to the galactic center, those were always times of enlightenment, times of peace. And we have been far, far away from the galactic center for a while. So, I do believe that, you know, because it's important to start reading these energies differently with the planets, the way we were reading them were in this age of Pisces. And so it made sense because for 23, 2,500 years, that energy just keeps growing and growing and growing. So, and that was the story we were telling about these planets, especially if a new one came in, then we had to like shuffle things around, but we still gave them all these um, patriarchal attributes. And so I think that because we are in this age of Aquarius, the patriarchy is falling. Um, we have to upgrade the planets and we have to upgrade the stories. So that being said, we shall continue. So we're going to be talking about this last week of June and the first week of July. And this Cancer season has been bananas, right? And I will tell you, I live in New Orleans, and when this full moon of Capricorn was coming in with this Cancer season, they were having we didn't have a tropical storm, but there was a disturbance somewhere in the Gulf. Maybe it got to tropical storm status right when it went on, but it was like lower Texas, maybe even to Mexico. But we were having a lot of wind and rain. And so I went down, to the water. And even I was like surprised to see how much flooding there was because it wasn't a big storm and it was so far away. And to me, that signaled like, wow, this Cancer season is going to be intense because this Cancer season, the water is going to get into the places where it needs to be in order to clean things out, right? Places that maybe it's never been before, but it's going to go no matter whether we want to or not. And whether we think we are far from the storm, quote unquote storm or not, this energy is going to get in there. And it's important to see and remember, like when I say like things like the storm's going to come in, the storm was hitting down below. We were getting normal rain, we were getting normal wind, if you will. Um, but Earth, the water was doing what it needed to do. And so it's important to start seeing these things bringing us back into balance. When we're asking for change, when we're asking for certain patterns to end, when we're asking for, certain things not to bother us anymore, we as humans have been conditioned to do so much we can do And there has to be that little bit of surrender, um, to let whatever energy, spirit, science come in and help us move the rest. Okay. Because we are at a limited space in our brains. That's just where it is. Um, I mean, we're opening to more stuff, but that's just where it is. So, you know, Cancer is initiation. And it's ruled by the moon, and the moon's going to keep happening. So, um, so it is important to see, um, and to know, as a unity consciousness, things are moving in, things are going to get a little scrubbed out, things are going to come to light that we might have been like, oh my God, I forgot about that, or oh shit, that's right. And I felt, and I felt Cancer was going to be really strong in that. And it's important to remember we had 3 planets in Cancer. We have the sun, of course, because it's Cancer season. We have Venus, right? And then we have Mercury. So one thing I'm just going to say that bothers me about talking about feminine signs, um, and I don't think the astrologers mean to do this, or fuck, maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they're not paying attention. But a lot of times it's like, we're in Cancer season, so it's going to be like flowy and like this divine feminine energy. Um, which on one hand isn't wrong, but a lot of times it's like, we're not going to want to work, we're not going to want to get things done. We're just going to want to whatever, right? Um, and the reality of it is, feminine energy works. It is a different energy than patriarchal energy, which is, you know, pick things up, put things down, productive all the time. Um, Cancer works. The feminine energy works. But it works in its own way. The moon doesn't stop moving, okay? And the moon rules Cancer. And so it's important for us to see this, how strong the feminine energy is, okay? And it's important for us to feel how strong the feminine energy is. When that water was coming up and I was like, damn, okay, I knew, like, well, going to put on our galoshes and just get hit in the face with the water, because this is going to happen no matter what, right? No matter if we think we're super far away from the storm or not, like, this is going to happen. What is the best way we can work with the storm, right? So that would be going into flow. That would be assessing, right? That would be listening to our intuition. Also, reading the obvious signs, right? Because across from Cancer is Capricorn, Earth, practical. Likes to work, right? So reading the obvious signs, but also pay attention to our inner self, the not so obvious signs. So back to this last week and into the first week of July. So Saturn station retrograde, um, just the other day, right now. Okay. And so when Saturn is stationing retrograde, we were feeling this 3 days out. People were like, geez, like, what's going on? Like, people are like, this has been the weirdest week, this has been the weirdest time. And yes, because it's with Pisces, and Pisces, can be the, intangible. Pisces is dreams. Pisces is mutable water. Pisces is the other. And so, but one thing I noticed, and this was just like with 3 people that came to me, or yeah, 3 people that came to me, but they were dealing with, masculine father, husband things, some of them not bad, not bad, not good. One of them was a friend of mine who's writing a book. And so she was remembering, writing about her father. And so she was like getting a little down because, he's passed. One of them was like my friend who was dealing with her father, who's very much alive. And then like the other one was a woman coming in, talking about her marriage, right? So, but Saturn in Pisces is going to make sure everything is stable, right? And Pisces is the illusion in its lower forms. Pisces is addiction, delusion, narcissism, all that in its lowest forms. And Pisces camping out in there, for 2 years. I mean, Saturn camping out in there for 2 years is really clearing that out. That's how I've read it. That's how I'm still reading it. So, And the sun being in Cancer, right? Um, Cancer ruled by the moon, that is can represent the mother, right? So I really feel like we're moving through a lot of old baggage with our families. I really feel like we're moving through a lot of baggage, with ourselves and maybe how we see ourselves with the father or with the mother, or just the family unit. So, but the thing is, because we want to keep moving forward, we just got to keep moving with it. And, a lot of people are coming to me and been like, good Lord, this has been a roller coaster of emotions. Yes, one day, even with myself, like one day I could be like really depressed. No, I don't want to say depressed, um, but like maybe circling in some old stories or whatever and just like really working with it. And then the next day, fine, like, oh, never happened. Right. And so again, I just see that as this water clearing everything out. So it's really important to try to stay a little detached, right? It's important to stay, let the water flow. This is what it's like today. It's probably going to be different tomorrow. And it's not that and the way that I see this is because it's coming in, because it's letting you know when you get triggered or lit up, you need to look at this because one, this is what we're letting go. But two, it's also like, do you still want to carry this forward? Because if you want all these other things, we really got to keep letting this go, think differently, um, emote differently, but be more mature, right? We always talk about like emotional maturity. Um, those are things coming in. It doesn't mean like if you think about a time when you were a child and something really bad happened to you and you just break down and cry, you got to honor that. You got to honor that. Um, at the same time, it's important to ask yourself, how can I consciously move through this? How can I consciously work with this? How can I consciously see how maybe this one event has painted the way that I see things, painted the way that how I deal with, others. Pisces is the other, right? We've got 5 signs or 5 planets and water signs. So we are really dealing with us and the other. Pisces is the other, Cancer is ourself. Cancer is initiating, right? Cardinal water. So to me, I really feel like this Cancer season is really working through um maybe, how our families have influenced us, good, bad, or indifferent, and then how we see the world because of that. At the same time, we're starting to come awake, like, oh, wait, I don't think that, or, fill in the blanks. You guys are smart. And now you want to move forward, right, with with your own thoughts, with your own, ways of being. But also seeing maybe not even just like families, but friends, coworkers, all that stuff. The other, seeing how we have, shown up for others, maybe been taught like, oh, you've got to do this, especially with women. And I know I always go back to women because I'm one. But you need to show up, you need to put yourself second, you need to be here. And all of that is shifting, right? All of that is saying it's okay to put yourself first. Venus is in Cancer. Venus is ruled by Taurus. Taurus is fixed earth, right? And fixed earth wants things to be simple, right? And it's really important. Again, this is just me and what's chapping my ass. Just seeing, oh, I don't know, the flowy feminine energy can be extremely strong, right? The flowy feminine energy is what births nations, okay? Like, and we got to remember that. Like, I was listening to one astrologer and she was just saying like, oh, we're not going to want to do anything at the same time that I was reorganizing my bathroom, and I was like, what the fuck, like maybe I was like, anyway, we've got to update these stories with the planets. Okay, so before we got here, all these planets, Mercury, Venus, the sun squaring Saturn squaring Neptune, right? Lots of reality checks. So now we're kind of like in the middle of these reality checks, um, in all senses of the way. So moving forward, moving into July, um, and it's important to see, a lot of times with astrology, it's this state, this state, this state, but we're more flowy, right? We're more like in the energy of Pluto and Aquarius, right? Aquarius is air. So on July 2nd, okay, Venus, who is in Cancer, um, let me see, will trine Saturn. Okay. This is going to help, because Saturn's already turned retrograde. This is going to help make us feel a little bit stronger, maybe in places where we have just been highs and lows, right? Highs and lows, because Venus already squared Saturn. And that was like the wake up call. And so now that it's sextiling Saturn, it's going to be in a good conversation. It's going to be in a good place where how we are going to see more of the other, right? And it could be how we see the other in where we feel strong not to show up, where we feel strong to put a new boundary, where we feel strong to say no. Venus, um, Venus is fixed. Venus knows who she is. Venus has been through the fucking ringer for the past 2,500 years, right? And right now she's in a full fucking Venus. So know your self-worth, know who you are, know how you want to spend your time, know it's okay to say no. And Saturn is going to help you with that in Pisces. Saturn is going to help you see where maybe you were like, it's okay, or they really didn't mean that, or when they said that, they actually meant that. Saturn's going to be like, no, that's exactly what they meant. But because we're going through all this other, Venus is going to be able to be like, got it. Okay, we're moving on. Because you have to remember, Cancer, our sweet, sweet little crab, he likes to feel, or she likes to feel it. They like to feel everything, right? Until they have to retreat into their shell. But what has happened right now is that we now are finding new shells. Crustaceans outgrow their homes. And right now, we've outgrown our home. We've outgrown all the old stories. We've outgrown all the illusion. So we're finding bigger places, right? And it doesn't mean like a mansion, but it's finding one with more space for our own beliefs and our own desires, right? And our own creativity. So lots of movement with this Cancer season. Also, what's happening, July 2nd is when Neptune goes retrograde, I'm pretty sure. When these planets station to go retrograde, things get weird, especially in Pisces. So again, it's just, this whole thing is just more reality checks and seeing ourselves as who we are, seeing ourselves as solid, noticing maybe how far we've come and noticing where it's okay to say no, noticing it's okay, or noticing that other people in our tribe have the same feelings. That's Mercury in Cancer. Mercury will move into Leo on July 2nd, right? There's a lot happening July 2nd. What else is happening July 2nd? Oh, this is the big one. The sun in Cancer will square the nodes. And so the North Node and the South Node. So Cancer, which is going to be great. People are, I don't know. This is how I read it. Okay. The sun in Cancer squaring the nodes, right? So as we're going through this Cancer season, as we're, clearing out all these old cobwebs, if you will, good, bad, or indifferent, it's here to here. It is what it is. When the sun squares Aries, right, and then squares Libra, Aries North Node, what we're moving forward, what we're moving towards. I see Aries as mature, right, because it's ruler Mars and Aries went under a huge change with Uranus, I don't know, 2018, 2019. And then because the cardinal signs used to be known as immaturity, right? But we have to grow them up. So I now see them. It doesn't mean that that energy signal isn't there, but I mean, all signs can be immature, right? But you know, I see these planets as holding space for us. So now, you know, as mature, but initiating, moving things through. I am seeing them in their higher side, right? It doesn't mean that, you know, we're human. We could go over their lower side some other time, but Cancer Sun squaring North Node, Aries, right? Venus, knowing who she is, showing up, being our authentic self, being okay saying no, um, being a little more strategic, you know, Aries could use some of that feminine strategery, right? Aries love to fight along the Amazons. Again, reaffirming this idea of how strong the feminine energy is. Um, Squaring South Node, Libra, lower vibe of Libra is people pleasing, right? So maybe seeing where relationships weren't equal, maybe seeing where Jesus, I was putting a lot of energy in, but not getting a lot back, right? So this is all happening on July 2nd. We're going to start feeling this now, okay? This isn't going to just be like July 2nd, okay. Um, but this is still like, I can't explain how big of a season Cancer season is. But you know, if I could sum this up, it is to start really leaning into seeing the different way like this feminine energy shows up, the way this feminine energy works, the way this feminine energy expresses itself. Because right now Mercury's still in Cancer before it moves into Leo, right? Um, and again, Venus, Taurus, the throat chakra, finding your voice, you know, Taurus rules the throat. And so all this feminine energy is coming in. If you're like, I don't know what that means, take a time out, you know, work with it. Take, you know, sit down with your pen and paper and just be like, I want to get to know divine feminine energy. Let's have a talk, just see what comes through, you know. Um, because we're in this great time of change. We're in this great time of shift. And we're in this time of, you know, the moon cycle switching as well, right? So much movement this Cancer season. So if you guys are having really highs and lows, just keep moving with it. Reach out to someone if you need to talk. You'd probably be shocked to be like, oh yeah, someone, you're like, trust me, more than one person is feeling the same thing too. Um, you know, self-care, what does it mean to you? You know, again, working with Pisces, Neptune and Saturn, Pisces is still, you know, spirituality. Neptune is still spirituality. So maybe you have a different talk about spirituality, or maybe you reach out to someone who does quote unquote spiritual things and have a talk with them, or maybe read a new book, summer reading, right? Um, Working with angels, working with, you know, science, however you guys see it. But keep I don't like to use the like work, like put your head down and work, but see what's inspiring you now, you know, see what's like, oh, maybe I will read that book, you know. It doesn't have to be like this huge thing, but it is just this this initiation, a new way of thinking, right? Mercury communicating, Venus showing up strong, right? How does Venus show up strong in Cancer? The moon, the strong feminine energy. What does it look like to you? What does it mean to you? You know, because the sun is in there. The sun is our masculine, right? He's in Cancer. He's having a good time. He's just being the sun, right? So what's he lighting up? See what comes up, especially up to July 2nd when it's squaring those nodes. See what needs to be falling away. July 5th, we have the dark moon, right? So we get to rest. Our masculine and feminine are back together. We get to rest. We move to the second full moon in Capricorn in Cancer, and then we change into Leo. That's going to be, you know, a big month as well. But and then the moon cycle starts. Then we'll starting seasons with dark moons and ending on full moons. So in the moon does this. It changes its dark full moon in seasons, I think about every 14 months or so. So this isn't like if they start saying a rare event, they're wrong. Okay, nope, it's just how the moon does. So work with these, work with these themes of family, work with these themes of the other, work of these themes with yourself. See where you feel like maybe you've been showing up and others haven't. Work with this idea of detachment. That's a great way when you talk to others. Even with me, like something was going on and I mentioned it to someone else and they were like, oh, okay. And I was like, they're not devastated for me. And they were just like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, and it wasn't that my feelings weren't valid or true, or I didn't feel them. At the same time, it's okay to say, I'm feeling this. I know because this is happening to me. It's okay to give it a little levity, right? Mercury, air, a little levity, because not everyone's going to see it that way. But I can heal through that and move through that instead of being stuck in it. You know, it's okay. I know some of it's me. I know some of it's not, and that's okay. And that's probably going to come more to light as we keep moving towards the second. And the sun is going to square Libra because Libra is going to want to bring things back into balance and it's going to let these things go away. And a lot of it is we're letting go of those old stories so we can be in balance and just so we can move on, love ourselves, right? Aries, Venus, right? Um, open that heart chakra, open these throat chakras, and just keep moving. So I'm gonna leave it here, and then I will do the political video next. Just some thoughts, just some thoughts. We all have them. So if you guys like to reach out or whatever, follow me, subscribe, like, tell your friends, all those things. Jason, I will answer your email today. I'm sorry I've been tardy on that. Um, but you guys, I really hope you are enjoying this Cancer season. I really do. It's been challenging. It's been tough. But the reality of it is things are still moving. The water is always moving, whether it looks still on top. Cancer's water. Cancer is strong, that strong crab. Even when it retreats, it's doing it for its own strength, right? It needs to take a time out so then it can recharge and come back. Take your time outs, take your breaks, reassess, if you will. And remember, we're opposite of Capricorn. Capricorn does like to work. Capricorn does like to make a list and get things done, but Capricorn's also Earth. Capricorn can keep things simple. Capricorn can be like, that can wait till tomorrow because we need to be present and get done what needs to get done today, right? Capricorn's getting rewritten. It is getting out of that, 20 years of Pluto, patriarchal shoved down our throats, right? Like work, work, work. Like it's just changing. When these planets do, just a preview, when these planets do start to move into Leo, they're going to be opposite of Aquarius because Leo and Aquarius are opposites. So this is going to bring in, a new way of moving forward with more, I want to say even more creativity. Cancer's creative, we need to tap into that and I'll wrap this up. They're like, wrap it up. But even the other day I was thinking, I haven't been creative in a while. And I talked to a friend and then it was like, boom, okay, I got this. These are new things I can tap into, do a little more, creativity. So, okay, friends, I'm going to leave it there. I am going to put below, 3 people that I enjoy talking to, working with. One of them I haven't worked with personally, but I do enjoy her videos. But the other 2 I have worked with personally. Sheila, I've worked with a very long time. She does energy work out of Massachusetts. Um, Melissa, I've just started working with, she introduced me to a couple of my guides and that was so much fun. And then Nadine does a lot of free stuff with angels on YouTube. And but based on what she does, I would recommend maybe getting a session with her as well. Um, at this time because why not? It's the summer. We're bringing in new stuff. There's so much good energy coming on the planet as well. So if you need to take a break, if you need to disconnect, if you need to go within, let's do it, you guys. Lots of energy moving through no matter what. Do your breathing, stay grounded. Just know some days you may not want to talk to people. Just know some days you might be in a fucking flare. It is what it is, love yourself, forgive yourself, you know, we're all moving forward. Okay. If you need help, reach out, reach out. There's nothing wrong in reaching out and asking for help with things. Okay, friends. Oh, and let me just say this too. If you have friends that are water signs, okay, and they're going through it, maybe you say, hey, how's it going? What's going on? But also, if they are saying, oh, yeah, I can help you, maybe you choose the restraint and say, no, that's okay, I got it. And I know a lot of times with empaths, we don't ever ask for help or say, I got it, maybe way too much. But also, maybe extend that to others if you can. If you're in a place where you can and people are offering things and you're like, they are super overwhelmed or they don't need one more thing on their plate, tell them thank you so much. We'll figure something else out. That's also showing others you care, right? Showing others, hey, I see you, I hear you, I appreciate you. Wanting to add one more thing, but God bless it. We got this. Maybe say you've got so much going on. I appreciate this so much, but I'd rather you take care of yourself right now. Showing people you see them and hear them, even though they might not be saying things, is also really great at this time. So, okay, now I'm going to leave it at that, and then I'm going to make another video. So if you guys like, subscribe, all those things. I hope this was helpful. I'll be back with more astrology, probably closer to the dark moon.